Hello everyone. Today is Sunday, July 5th. Hope everyone has had a good 4th of July holiday. And I really hope everyone is staying safe and healthy despite all the madness we've been seeing around us, not just in Montgomery, in the state of Alabama, but across the country. Um, Recently, there has been a lot of emails about the fall plans, either from me, from Dr. Havert, from the administration, and some of you have been confused at what exactly we'll be doing in the fall. So that's why I tried to address all your concerns, all the questions I've received via email, all the anticipated problems in as directly as possible in this video. And then after that, you'll have the chance to post your comments and ask questions, and then I'll clarify anything that still needs clarification. So I'll start by some points, and then I have some slides that I'll go over just to stay organized and for the sake of time. So first of all, I have a note about the curriculum. Originally, we were supposed to start rolling in the last phase of our curriculum changes this fall, but given everything we've been dealing with, not very straightforward instruction models in the fall, the possibility of going online at any point given the current number of cases in the state and across the country, and according to the university reopening phases, we have anti-racist pedagogy that we need to address very urgently, again, given the chaotic time and all the recent events that we all experienced. So we have a lot to deal with this fall. So that's why I made a decision that we're not going full implementation of multimodal composition in the program this year. What we're going to do instead is we're going to do it as pilot, as each one of you is going to try their hand with something small, something low stakes, something that's not for a high grade, not a major assignment at this point, just to try everything we discussed in the spring professional development sessions. All the videos are on Blackboard, and we still have one session that's coming up in the pre-fall training. Just to give you some time to experiment, ask questions, feel more comfortable with the technology, with redesigning assignments and working with the students on these projects. So this year, there is no full program implementation. This was a calculated decision. Under these circumstances, you are already going to do a lot this fall, so asking you to add that new element would be too much to ask at this time. However, for 1010, we're still going with incorporating citations in Unit 3, and we'll have a session about that in the pre-fall training. And then for 1020, this is in the spring 2021, we'll switch to inquiry-based research, and again, we'll have sessions about that in the fall professional development. So, but multimodal, no. This is going to be optional, more pilot this time, this year, and then when things have settled down a little bit, hopefully next year we can go full program implementation. So I just wanted to update you on this because I know this has been another layer of concern to some of you. Now, current situation regarding the reopening in fall. Current situation, we are opening face-to-face. But not the regular face-to-face. As you may have seen in the university plan and in all the emails Dr. Havard and I have sent, we are not going to have 20 students sitting in our classes. We have to follow one of two instruction models that I'm going to explain more in a minute. We have the possibility that at any time we may go fully online depending on the number of cases, not just in the city of Montgomery, but at AUM. If we have students, faculty, or staff who tested positive at any point, and the number of cases has been kind of alarming, then the university again is switching to everything to remote instruction the same way we did in the spring. I don't want to say the good news because there is no good news about what's happening, let's be honest. But at least many of you, with the exception maybe of 4 of you, who didn't go through that crazy time in the spring. So most of you now have some kind of experience to fall back on, plus everything the lecturers and I are planning that I'll be talking about in a minute. One last thing before I start showing my slides is about the numbers. So far, our numbers are actually good. I mean, 1010, the numbers are still shaky in some sections, but 103 is remarkably, almost all the sections are full or about to be full. We actually just opened 2 new sections 10 days ago. So the numbers are really promising, and I'm not expecting the possibility of canceling any under-enrolled class at this point. We still have about 5 weeks before the semester starts. So we'll see what happens until then. 1010, as I said, there might be some cancellations, but we are hoping that the remaining orientations in July and August will deliver, and we'll have more students commit and register in 1010. 1020 classes, I think we only have 1 class that's under-enrolled at the moment. All the other classes, as far as I know, last time checked, I think they are all a go at this point. So again, as usual, keep your eyes on your email in case there is any change in the schedule, cancellations, opening new sections, reassignment of sections. We don't know yet. We're dealing with so much uncertainty, and we're dealing with a moving target, as I keep saying. So just bear up with me, and together we'll go through this. So now I'm gonna show you some details about our fall plans and what to expect and how to prepare and how to start working on your syllabus in preparation for fall semester. So let's go on. Let's talk in more detail about our plans for the fall, and specifically working on your syllabus and planning your instruction. So these are the slides I've put together, and I'm gonna walk you through them kind of quickly, and then you'll have the opportunity to ask any questions or any clarification points that you may have later. So these are the 4 things I'll be talking about. How to start planning for the fall, how to prepare your syllabus, classrooms and technology, and the more important part will be instruction models. So planning. We will have to plan ahead before we are able to communicate with the students or understand their technology access situation or needs. I know that's not ideal, but as I said, there is nothing ideal about this whole situation. So it's difficult, but we don't have much of a choice. We need to start planning because we don't have much time to waste, or we cannot afford waiting until August to start planning this. Now, choose the instruction model, and I'm not going to talk much about this because I'm having a whole section dedicated to that point later. The more important point that I'd like to talk now about is choosing your technology and or the platforms that you use. You've heard all of us talk about that, and I know we have a lot of technology options that we can choose from. Angela and Melinda actually are working on one of the videos that will cover in more depth and more detail the different technologies and how to use them for communicating with the students. The things I'd like to focus on now are few points. Number 1, and you keep hearing me say this, pedagogy first. So I said that in my email, and you've heard me say that several times before. Focus on your pedagogy. Technology is never the goal. Technology is never the destination. It's just what we're going to use to achieve our instructional goals. So what's your goal of using a certain technology? How will you use that technology to achieve the course learning outcomes and to communicate with the students more effectively? These are the questions you need to ask yourself before determining which technology you're going to use in addition to Blackboard. Blackboard is a given because this is a university learning management system and we don't have a choice. We all have to use it, and all our materials, regardless of the platform we're going to use, everything has to be on Blackboard as per the university policy. Second point, and again, this is essential, and this is key to success in teaching online or teaching the hybrid model that we'll be doing in the fall. Less is more. Using so many technologies is never recommended, not just based on my own experience, but based on research findings. So it actually creates more problems if you end up using like four or five platforms or different technologies. This is confusing, this is frustrating, and it will create tons of problems for you and for students. So keep it simple. So other than Blackboard, don't feel obligated or pressured to use any particular platform because it's cool, because you've heard good stuff about it, because you know others are using it, because you used it as a grad student in one of your courses. Think of the ones you're comfortable with. And this is the third point, the comfort level, how comfortable you are with any given technology. You don't have to learn anything from scratch unless you really have to. Like, for example, Zoom, because this is going to be the main streaming and recording technology, or Blackboard Ultra if you've used it before. So focus more on, think of the ones you're comfortable using and that you can use for various purposes. If one technology or one platform is more versatile or you can use it for multiple purposes, this is the one you should be using. And then student access. This is another important point. I put it at the end because we won't be able to understand more about that until the semester begins. So that's why I put it at the last point, not because it's less important, but because of timing of when we'll get to know that. So the same survey we sent in the spring to ask students about their technology situation, we'll send again this fall. Given that all of us, no exceptions, will have to use more than one form of technology in our courses. So what devices do most students use? Keep in mind that all new full-time students will receive a laptop this year from AUM. This doesn't apply to returning students, and this doesn't mean that having a laptop automatically means having good internet and stable internet access. So these are not the same thing. So be extremely careful with that assumption. So it's essential to survey students' access situation and adjust your technology choices accordingly. Again, I know it's hard to plan everything so meticulously and then all of a sudden it's like, whoops, this is not going to work given the situation in my class. So I'll have to readjust. Start communicating with the students a week before the semester begins. Yes, this might not get you many answers because we know students, especially first-year students that we teach, may not start paying attention to their emails or anything before the semester begins, but at least we can give this a shot and see if students will be actually paying attention. The more important thing and the message that I'd like each one of you to send at the very beginning of the semester, your first communication with the students, is to show support and kindness. Please, please, please. This is more important than pedagogy. This is more important than the curriculum, instruction, which technology we're going to use. This is the more important part in the fall. Many students will come back traumatized. Let's face it, many of us are traumatized given everything and the lockdown and staying home. Many students may have contracted the virus themselves or have someone in their family or friends or co-workers who did. Some may have lost a loved one to the virus or to any other complication that happened this summer. Some And I assume many will have experienced financial hardship. We all know the kind of jobs our students usually have and how the economy went down for so many of our students. So please, of course, Black students in particular will have experienced a lot of stress and anxiety. So please send a message of support and kindness and understanding, and tell your students that you are there to support them and you're available to help. And encourage them to take advantage of counseling and mental health resources available to them through AUM. Distribute a list of the two groups, which one will be online, which days, which one will be in class, which days, early, to avoid having, or not to avoid, to minimize the chaos and mess that will happen on the first day of your class. And then survey students about their technology access and request the completion of this survey, hopefully by the second day of class meeting. And last but not least, ask students about their disability and accommodation needs. Remember that CDS letters may be late, given again the situation, and not all offices are working in full capacity and things like that. So be proactive and ask students about their disability, about their accommodation, so you can start addressing that before the CDS letters arrive. Now, we come to the part that I know many of you are concerned about, and I've received so many questions about how to prepare for your syllabus. And I'll talk about face covering, instruction, technology, schedule, office hours, and regular syllabus elements, or the things that you should put in your syllabus. Let's start with face covering statement and policy. Currently, the university is working on a statement about face covering and social distancing that will all be required to put in our syllabus. They are still finalizing that with the university attorney and university and campus police. So once we have that statement, I'll distribute it to everyone. Basically, face covering is required, it's not optional. No student will be allowed in a classroom or indoors in general at AUM without a mask, or whatever. It's a mask, it's a shield, whatever they decide to, their face has to be covered. Any student who refuses to wear a mask in class will be required to leave class immediately. And if they refuse to do that, you will have the right to call campus police. The protocol for that, again, will be part of the statement that we are waiting for from the university. And once we have it, it's going to be distributed to everyone. You will list the instruction model that you'll be using in your syllabus. This is one of the things I'll be looking at while reviewing your syllabi in the fall. So it's very important that you list that, and you list the technologies that you'll be using in your class, and explain explicitly to students what that means for them, what that model means, what's expected from them. You should have clear description with visuals of class structure and modality throughout the semester. Pay extra attention to describing the technologies and or platforms you're going to use, and the distinction between them and their purpose. For example, this is one example from my own syllabi when I teach online. So technology use, and or I call it platforms or whatever. So I use basically AUM email, Blackboard, and I started using Slack last fall. So, and I make it very clear what students should expect to find, to do, to receive, to hear from me about on each of these platforms. So it's very clear to them, especially if you're using something additional to Blackboard. If you're not using an additional form or platform, that's fine. Just make it clear and make it explicit and use visuals so it's easy for students to locate that kind of information in the syllabus. This is an example that I use in my syllabus. Feel free to use something like that or similar and adapt it to your own syllabus. Now, the more important or another important element that I'll be looking for in your fall syllabus is your course schedule. In the past, we requested only, or I requested only 5 weeks of calendar, or the first 5 weeks of your course calendar, and then you can add the rest or develop the rest later. This is not going to happen this fall, I'm afraid, because number one, we need to make sure that you have a more comprehensive plan given everything we're dealing with. And number two, because the dean's office requested that you submit a complete calendar. I negotiated a little bit, and we settled on complete first 8 weeks, and then skeleton for the remainder of the semester. What does this mean? It means that for weeks 1 through 8, or until the submission of the midterm grades on October 9th, I need to see a complete calendar with readings, with major assignment deadlines, with process due dates, with discussion posts, due dates, everything. Most of you are, not most, almost everyone except with one new GTA, you have taught the course before. So you have this information ready. Just plug it into your course calendar. And then starting week 9 until week 14, I need a skeleton calendar, which includes only the readings and the major assignment deadlines. And then keep in mind that week 15, or after we come back from Thanksgiving holiday and finals, these will be fully online. So I need a skeleton on what's going to happen there, what kind of activity or what kind of final exam. Normally for 1010, for example, we do the portfolio cover letter, they do a revision of that and submit it. For 1020, sometimes it's the presentation, or you can decide what you want to do in your finals week. So this is the schedule part in your syllabus. Now, for office hours, I don't want to say, I said it before, but I repeat, make sure that all your office hours are online. Don't allow students to come to your office, even if you have your own space, your independent and individual office. I have my own office, and I'm not going to allow students to come into my office because my office is small and it won't allow for the 6 feet social distance between me and the student, even if the two of us are wearing masks. So please, yes, you can still be in your office and do the Zoom or whatever form of office hours while you are in your office, but encourage students to use Zoom instead of coming to your office unless it's very necessary, and then maybe you can step outside the office so you can have more space. Okay, I know this is not ideal, so that's why Zoom is much better option. Please try to incorporate Zoom or Collaborate Ultra in your office hours rather than just chatting on Slack or being available via email. Especially for students who will be mostly remote, they won't be on campus often. They want to see your face. They want to talk to you as if it's a regular office hour. Okay, so this is of course optional, but this is very much encouraged. And then other than that, you'll just prepare your syllabus as usual, the same statement, the same elements, the same thing that are on the syllabus rubric that we use for reviewing your syllabi every semester. And of course, everything is on in the Blackboard community. Now, we come to a very important part, and again, I received lots of questions about some of these points. What's going to be in our classrooms? Technology, what's going to happen with cleaning? Are we allowed to use the computer labs? Are they going to be open? So let me start with the classrooms. The information we have so far is that all classrooms are currently being fitted with technology for streaming and recording class meetings. These will include cameras, tilted cameras that you can use with Zoom or Collaborate Ultra, whichever platform you'll be using. And as far as we know, ITS are going to offer training for all instructors on how to use these technologies to live stream their classes and to record the lectures and make them available as videos after class ends. So please stay tuned, and once we get the information, this may not happen before the first week of August. So please stay tuned. Make sure that you check your emails regularly about that kind of information. If we receive anything earlier, we'll definitely just circulate it as soon as we get it. Now, a concern for all of us is cleaning. What's going to happen? Disinfecting the classroom. Again, according to the university reopening plan and the information we received from facilities, all classrooms will have cleaning and disinfecting supplies. The same will be in your offices, in your office spaces. We inquired about the protocol for who's responsible for cleaning the classroom, especially between classes. Like if your classroom has computers or laptops, who's gonna clean the tables, who's gonna clean the instructor's podium, who's gonna do the doorknobs. So far we don't have the protocol for that. I inquired in particular about, like, for example, if I'm teaching the 925 class, which I will be, so should I start my class by dedicating like 5 minutes for cleaning, so my students and I are cleaning everything we're gonna touch? Or if I'm finishing my 925 class at 10:40, the last 5 minutes will be for cleaning, so the incoming class will have everything clean and ready for them to go. So again, we don't have the protocol for that, and once we receive it, we'll send it out, but we know for sure that there will be wipes and hand sanitizers available in all classrooms. Our computer labs, our 2 computer labs in the program, the one in Goodwin Hall, 113, and Library Tower 619, these will be available, and we'll have our classes scheduled as usual. So if you are scheduled to teach in one of these two computer labs, your class will be running as usual. There might be some relocation of the 2 computer labs to Clement Hall. This has been the plan set up in last fall and spring, and I haven't received any updates on that. But last time I checked, they said that yes, the plan is still going, and we should be teaching in the new spaces in the fall. Of course, with everything that's going on, I'm not sure how correct or how accurate this is, but again, in any case, we have computer labs available and will be teaching in these computer labs in the fall. Now, we come to the hassle, or the thing that's going to take us most of the time to work on between now and the beginning of the fall semester, which is the instruction models. Whatever you want to call them flipped classroom, you want to call them high flex model or hybrid flex, you want to call them class, I don't know whatever the model, because we've been hearing lots of names. So this is not really the problem, or this is not really our concern. What I want to emphasize before I go over the models and give you a kind of like an example of how things will run in your class. Regardless of the model you're going to use, be prepared for 2 things. Number 1, plan your course as if it's fully online. I know this sounds like antithetical to what I'm going to say, but honestly, you may have students who decide to opt for remote delivery only. Students have the right to do that. And we already received some emails from advisors because students are already asking about that possibility. and this goes from, this goes from 103 to 1020 to upper level courses to everything. So be prepared to, or like plan your course as if it's fully online. Second thing is the university may go online, fully online, before the announced time, which is Thanksgiving break. If COVID-19 cases are confirmed on campus, we will have no choice. We will go online. So be prepared for that from the very beginning. The other thing is, given the possibilities that we will be that I'll be explaining in a minute, it's always better to have everything available for students online, because you will be dealing with 3 different groups of students, and as I'll say when we come to the scenarios. So regardless of the model you'll be choosing, make sure that everything, all materials, every single piece of activity, prompt for in-class writing, warm-up activity, anything, everything is available online. Okay, so this is just like the bottom line of what I'll be talking about. Think of in-class meetings as more as tutorials, one-on-one, small group activities, in-class writing, reflection. So this is what will be happening more in class, or prepare for in-class activities to be more like this rather than lectures and presentations. Of course, if you have taught in the spring semester, you have lots of material that you've developed for your class after spring break when we made the switch online. So use these instead of just reinventing the wheel. If you have lectures, if you have activities, if you have a discussion post, if you have writing prompts, everything, make sure that you recycle and to use that, and just maybe if something needs update or something, instead of creating something from scratch. The important part about putting everything online is that, if you remember, those of you who taught in the spring, we had an entire week spring break. I know it wasn't enough, definitely, but you had a week to prepare for that move. If anything happens in the fall and we need to switch online, this most probably might be an overnight decision. So they may announce today that we're going online tomorrow, or on Friday that we're going online on Monday. So we won't have as much time, even though that was already little time in the spring. So imagine that you won't even have that little time to prepare for the move. So make sure that you plan as if we're going online, fully online from day one. Now, the models, and again, this is the same model that I sent in my email last week. Now, the video lecture, as I said, it's better to record your video in advance, to record your lecture and presentation, and either you have multiple options for closed captioning. You can either record it as a video and then submit it to or upload it to YouTube for captioning, or you can use Google Slides because they come with closed captioning. So as you're talking, the subtitles and the script appears on the screen for students, and then you have everything, and then just upload it online to Blackboard so students can watch it. Now, the more tricky part that will need more preparation and more time, and yes, I know it's much more work for all of us, is during class time. So if students have watched the video lecture before coming to class, now when you are in the classroom, you are prepare yourself to be dealing with 3 different groups of students. One group that's sitting there in your classroom. Ideally speaking, this is half your classroom. Second group, again, ideally speaking, is watching the class live using either Zoom or Collaborate Ultra. So this is a very ideal situation that you have, let's say, 20 students, 10 sitting in your class, 10 streaming in synchronously, joining the class synchronously and watching the live stream of the class. This is the ideal situation, but we're not dealing with ideal situation in the fall. You will have students who are constantly and all the time online only. They are not going to be sitting in your classroom at any point in the semester. You will have students who will have access problems or will have any kind of circumstances, and they will watch the whole thing asynchronously later. So you're dealing with three types of students. You have in-class students, you have remote synchronous students, and you have remote asynchronous students. So that's why make sure that your plan is very clear. For example, you have a warm-up activity in class writing that maybe you start your class with some writing. So you tell students, those who are sitting in the classroom, get a paper or write on your computer, start writing. Those who are synchronous will start typing on their computer. Those who are asynchronous, tell them when you are in the classroom, okay, now you can pause the video and do the warm-up or do the reflection or do the writing activity. And then you can resume watching the video after. So you will have 3 sets of instructions. Not ideal, so much work, I understand. I'm just trying to explain what's going to happen. The same for group work activities. That's why I suggested, for example, last week in my email, is to use Google Docs. Why? Because if you share the link of the Google Doc on Blackboard before class, when you are dealing with the 3 groups of students, the students in class can use their laptops or computers to log into the Google Doc and put their group work answers or activities or discussion questions or whatever. Those online, those who are synchronous online, can still log in and go into that Google Doc from their homes and join the conversation and discussion and answer the questions or do the activity that you've designed. The same for those who are doing it asynchronously. They can pause, they can go to the Google Doc and put their answers so you can check their answers and their engagement later. Another tricky point is how you're gonna make groups. In class, as I said in my email, you'll put them in smaller groups, 2 or 3 max, so you can arrange their seating with social distancing. So groups shouldn't be more than 3 to allow for social distance. For online, you will create breakout rooms, either in Zoom or in Blackboard Ultra. You can create these rooms and then you can put 3 students together and then you will give them a name and then this or a number or a letter or something, and then okay, you work together. So students can discuss the question, the activity completed in the Google Doc, and then or one of them can report back to the entire class later, and so on. So you see, there is a lot of moving pieces and moving parts. I know it's not easy, and that's why I wanted to explain all that model or the models we'll be using early enough so you can start thinking and making these decisions and decide, okay, what's going to happen on Blackboard, what's going to happen in a Google Doc if you want to use one, what's going to happen in class, what about the videos, what about the assignments. There is a lot to think about, and that's why it's a good idea to start planning now. The only difference between this model and the other model is the presentation or the lecture. While here you'll be presenting you have recorded your presentation, posted it online, and asked students to watch it before coming to class. But because we all know what happens when you ask students to do anything before coming to class, normally they don't. So you can actually play it in class and it gets recorded one more time, but this is not ideal. The difference between that model and the HyFlex or class simulcasts, I don't know who on earth came up with that name, but anyway, is that you'll give your presentation in class. Those who are streaming, I keep saying streaming, those who are zooming in will be able to watch that presentation live, and at the same time you'll be able to record it and make it available to students who were absent from class, who do asynchronous delivery. They can watch it later, and then you'll do the same thing with group activities, in class writing, discussions, and whatnot. Okay, so I know this is not ideal. Again, nothing is ideal about the fall semester. And then the modified model for English 103, thanks again, Melinda, for creating this, will go by odd number weeks and even number weeks to account for the additional class time that we have in 103. So please follow that model if you are teaching 103. The scenarios I was talking about earlier, you have a perfect situation where you have all students are in two groups, one sitting in front of you in class, one on Zoom or Blackboard Ultra in video conference. Even if you have a small class with maybe 8 or 10 or 11 students and you think, okay, this is a small class, so all of them will be in class. In a theoretically, yes. Practically, half of these students may decide to go fully online. So you will follow the same model. Unfortunately, I mean, we don't have control on that. So some students will be only remote. So you'll never see them in class. So, and some of them may even be asynchronous. So you won't see them in Zoom or in the video conference during class time. So you will have to check on them regularly as if you're teaching an online class to make sure that they are engaged, they are completing class activities and everything. The one scenario that we haven't had an answer yet about from the university is, what if all students in my class decide to go remote? Should we just flip the class or flip it to an online only? We haven't had an answer yet from the university. And again, one of the question marks that we hope to have an answer for before the semester begins. Now, how to start preparing for all this? Grab a syllabus or calendar from a recent semester. With the exception of Yvette, all of you have taught either in the spring or fall or both, or you've been teaching for years. So grab a syllabus and calendar and start using these visuals I put or symbols or anything. Start looking at everything in your syllabus and everything in your course calendar and everything you do in the classroom and see, how are you going to handle this? What are you going to record it? Are you going to change this into a writing prompt? Are you going to change this into a group activity? How are you going to handle this? How many groups are you going to create? Which technology are you going to use to bring all your class together and to collect all their answers and their discussion points together to make them accessible for everyone in your class? These are all decisions you have to make, and ideally or hopefully you should be able to make them early enough. Use one of the two models we suggested, but keep in mind all the points we discussed about students, about the three groups of students you'll be dealing with. Make sure all your course materials are available on Blackboard. I can't stress this enough. You will live stream and record class meeting every single day in the classroom. You will be live streaming. Even if nobody appears on the Zoom, you don't know. Maybe somebody will come late, and then it's like, if you haven't streamed, it's like, oh, I came, but there was no streaming. So please make sure that you live stream and record and make the video available to students afterwards. And adjust based on student technology access. Some students who are technically will be alternating between online and in class may not have that access. So on the day they are supposed to be on Wednesday, when they are supposed to be online, they will be asynchronous because they cannot join you live. They don't have good internet access to allow them for synchronous meetings. So be prepared, and that's why, again, surveying student access is very important. Now, some final thoughts. Before I come to my final thoughts, my video is the first of a series that the lecturers and I are putting together for everything you need to know about managing your class in the fall, from using technology and communicating with the students, from how to think carefully about your technology choices and how to be strategic with that, feedback and peer review, how to deliver your content using these models and these technologies. And if any more questions come up based on that video, we will make sure that we address them in our videos or even create a whole new one. Now, my first and most important point: be prepared for complete chaos and mess in the first week. This has nothing to do with your preparedness. Nothing. I trust all of you will be extremely prepared. After all, I'll review your syllabi and I'll have conversations during the pre-fall training and make sure that everybody is ready to teach using one of these models in the fall. But be mentally and emotionally prepared for that chaos in the first week. We are dealing with a lot of ifs and maybes. You've heard me say this over and over again in this video. There is a lot of uncertainty. There is a lot of moving targets that we're not sure which target is going to show up when and where and how big it's going to be, or it's a lot of uncertainty. So be prepared for that. It's not your fault. It's not students' fault. It's that whole system's fault. Okay? So please be kind to yourself. Be kind to your students, because this is a whole new situation for everyone, myself included. I'll be teaching a 10-10 class face-to-face, and I have my upper level course online. So I'm dealing with that, and even with my years of experience as a teacher, as an online teacher, I'm still uncertain about how things will go in the fall. So be prepared for that. I'll have my Zoom channel open in the first week of classes, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Except Monday, Wednesday, 9 to 11, because I'll be teaching second period. So I'd love to see you. Yes, I'm sorry, nobody's gonna come to my office. We have to be extremely cautious, even if we are wearing masks. But I'll have my Zoom open all the week for you to drop by, to talk about anything you're dealing with in your class, any problem, any situation that came up, any problematic student, anything that you weren't aware of and it just came to your attention on that day. Just drop me an email or drop by into my Zoom channel that week. It's going to be open, as I said, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And I'll be dedicating the entire week for you to answer questions, address any concerns. Just stop by and say, hey, everything went fine. I was like, holy crap, everything went so bad. I understand. No worries. Okay? And then starting the second week of the semester, I'll host a weekly happy hour. So we can just come together very casually. And this is not even required. This is optional. I'll be sitting there, depending on the time of the day. I'll ask you about that close to the beginning of the semester, if it's going to be Thursday evening or Friday morning. Just a happy hour for all of us to come together, or if you want to come talk about what's going on in your class, what's working. You've realized that if you do X and Y and Z, this helps with these students, or some students have concerns and you don't know how to address them. Come and let's discuss these things together, put our heads together, just have some downtime and just to check on each other, since I won't be able to see you. Even, yeah, we will have our monthly professional development as usual, but it's going to be Zoom. And I don't want to, like, given these weird circumstances we're dealing with, I'd like to stay in constant touch with all of you. And at the same time, I'm trying to avoid sending tons of emails. Yes, I'll still send these, by the way. But we'll have our space every week just to check on each other and see what's happening, what's working, what's not working, what's concerning, what questions keep coming up. So we can all draw on each other's experience and address these problems. Once again, I can't say enough how much I appreciate everything you'll be working on and you'll be doing. This is tons of work. This is huge amount of preparation for a lot of uncertainty. And by the way, between now and August 17th, things may change completely. And we may receive direction that we're going fully online between now and then. But guess what? You'll be ready to do that, because this is what I asked you now to do, is to plan everything as if it's going to be fully online. So start planning this, and whatever AUM is going to throw in our face, will be ready, as we always are. As Heath said it in the video at the end of the spring semester, chin up and be proud, because this is what we do. We've done a great job in the spring and we'll do it again this fall. I'm here for you. Questions, concerns, problems, anything. I'm here for you. You all have send an email, send me a text message, call me anytime. I'm here for you. We'll go through this together as we went through the spring semester together. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the anti-racist pedagogy session on Wednesday the 8th. And otherwise, I'll see you at the pre-fall training. Details coming soon. Bye.